Welcome to Part J, a review and the target. The Chronology of Humanity, prepared by Father and Son team George and Dana Brown. Viewers can describe God's plan in 2 words, then the wise will comply. A review of the Chronology of Humanity comes first, and the target, the purpose proposed upon the whole earth, Isaiah 14:26, and Daniel 7:27. We begin with the Chronology of Humanity, focused on the Middle East, a review. Under God, there is a divided spirit dominion, Jesus versus Satan. Day 1, 0 through 1,000 from creation. Adam's lineage, the blessed, God's creation. And Cain's lineage, the cursed, Lucifer's seed. Both populate the pre-flood earth, the 4 river regions. Okay, day 2. Divided spirit dominion, God's right versus God's left. See 1 Kings 22:19. All right, day 2 is 1001 through 2000 from creation. It begins with the pre-flood prosperity that reigns and evil predominates. Then, of course, the flood wipes it all out in 1655 to 1656, and post-flood, the earth was cleansed. So we have 2 groups that rebuild and repopulate the new earth, and a 3rd group, Raven and Dove, become American Indians. Day 3. Under God, there is a divided spirit dominion, Jesus versus Satan. Day 3, 2001 through 3000 from creation. So we have Abraham, Abraham's seed, the royal lineage, Joseph, Egyptian bondage, Moses, 80 years in the wilderness, then Joshua and Judges. And of course, there's many afflictions in this period of time. And there's blessings versus curses. Day 3 continued. Now, Abraham was born in 2008 from creation. And Abraham's children, about 2150, they were the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians prospered with exploration, colonization, mercantile operations, shipbuilding, manufacturing, transportation, and slave trade, which was their downfall. And in 2298 from creation, the original Holy Ark was hidden by Jacob. Now, the early caravan routes by Phoenicians and later by Moses is shown here. It's not complete, but it shows the basic routes. The Silk Route is the main route. The Phoenicians were the masters of trade over land and over water. Day 4, Spirit Dominion. The divided dominion ends with David's death in 3094 from creation. So then we have God's left reign supreme. And under God's left is the reign of the 6th kingdom. The scepter is given to Solomon's children, Genesis 49:1 and 10. Day 4 is 3001 through 4000 from creation. It begins with the kings, Saul, David, Solomon and Solomon's children, the Jews, usurped the names and title Israel and Judah. Remember, Judah had no heirs. Day 4 continued. The 3 temples were built on 3 different sites at 3 different times. The divided kingdom. Jeroboam, king of all Israel, leads 10 tribes north. Jews were taken to Babylon for 70 years. Alexander created a united Grecian empire. Alexander's generals then divided the empire amongst them. Romans, Cassandra's heirs, they invaded Palestine. Palestine was originally given to Ptolemies as part of Egypt. The Seleucids came and took it from the Ptolemies. And Cassandra's heirs now invade Palestine as the Romans. The purpose proposed upon the whole earth is to move everyone under God's right, universal righteousness. Isaiah 14:26. Now 2 Kings 16, 1-20, and 2 Chronicles 28, 1-27 speak of Ahaz's reign. And 2 Kings 20, verses 9 and 11 speak of moving the dial. Okay, so in the days of Ahaz, when Ahaz died, 3385, the dial was moved 10 years backwards. That's 10 years. Now, so we have 2 points where 26-25 years are initiated. That's from Daniel 12, 11 and 12. It's 1290 plus 1335 years. It's 26-25 years. So the earliest one comes to 6,000, and the later one comes to 6,010. So we have Isaiah 14:28 speaks of the burden beginning with Ahaz's death, and 38:8 speaks of moving the dial back to 6,010. Okay, the Phoenician Empire now flourished and then came to an abrupt end. 118 years of warfare ended the Phoenician Empire in 3859 from creation. That's when Rome defeated Carthage. Now earlier, Persia conquers the Tyre. East Phoenicia falls. But if you look back now, we had Carthage. West Phoenicia was founded in 3191. So it's just a matter of a little over 600 years. We have the end of the Phoenician Empire. Okay, day 5 now. Spirit dominion, God's left still reigns supreme. The reign of the sixth kingdom beneath the left of Solomon's children. And day 5 is 4001 through 5000 from creation. Now the Romans reign over Jerusalem for 386 years. That's Cassandra's heirs. And Jesus Christ rejected by the Jews. 3 Jewish revolts in 40, 70, and 41, 36 from creation. Christians, the first witness, came, and then Islam, the second witness, came. Egyptian Caliphate then gains dominion at the end of day 5. Okay, day 6 now. Spirit dominion, God's left still reigns supreme over the whole world. The sixth world kingdom loses the scepter to the seventh in 5992 from creation. That's 1988 AD. That's the end of Jeremiah's and Isaiah's 70 years. 1988 AD. So day 6, 5001 through 6000 from creation. We have the Egyptian Druze, the Seljuk Turks, the Crusades versus the Muslims mainly. Then we have the Khazars and the Mamluks, the Ottoman Turks, and World Wars I and II. So the bloodshed continues in day 6. God's holy arks were taken captive by the Jewish occupation in 1985 AD. Genesis 49, 1 and 10 speak of the end of Judah, the Jews who took the name and title Judah, who didn't have any legitimate heirs. And Zechariah 5:4 speaks of their house coming down. Okay, the sixth kingdom loses the scepter to the seventh kingdom in 1988 AD. That's 5992 from creation. Daniel 4:30 and 31 and 5:25 to 28. Now, blessings upon Manasseh, England and Europe on the east side of the Atlantic, and the USA and Canada on the west side of the Atlantic. Humanity's double portion on the sixth day came, and from 1700 through 1996 and beyond, the horse and buggy to space. So we started with early steam, electricity was learned, and even nuclear power. The automobiles and so forth came into being. The trumpet began sounding at the end of the sixth day. Blessings. The seal of the living God came upon the first fruits. Daniel 12:11 and 12. The end of 26-25 years. Okay, we begin the first fruits 42-year hour, still in the sixth day, in 1982 AD. That's 5986 through 5987. It's just the start point. And have 14 preparation years at the Passover. In the year 6000 was Passover year. The end of the sixth day came. And then we start at 6001, the seventh day, seventh millennial day. Began with the 21-year half an hour, Revelation 8:1. It ended in 6021, the end of 6021 from creation. The solemn assembly in 6022. Okay, day 7. Now let's get a little more serious in day 7. The left reigns supreme until the first fruits come out. That's when they have a divided dominion again. Divided spirit dominion, Jesus versus Satan. Psalm 110, 1 and 2 speaks of Jesus sitting at the right hand of the Father until he puts everything under his feet. Well, he starts with the first fruits, and then you have the main harvest 1,000 years later. So we begin a utopian paradise for saints as the Southland emerges. It begins with the first fruits. So day 7, 6001 through 7,000 from creation. It's the Lord's Day, the focus of all history and prophecy. Day 7 continued now. First fruits, 42-year hour, 5986 through 6028 from creation. Saints, the kings, queens, and priests. 1982 through 2024 AD. Spring to spring, that's the end of the first fruits 42-year hour. Now, heaven on earth evolves for first fruits. First to enter the eternal kingdom, and then we have the Messiah joins the first fruits on the glorious solemn assembly in the year 6022 from creation, when the first fruits marriage is consummated. Day 7 continued still. The seventh kingdom of the north continues. Revelation 17, 10, 11. It's not the Southland now. It's the land of the north, the kingdom of the north, which is the whole earth. You tell people, enter the Southland, the eternal kingdom on the right hand of God. Growing troubles increase for all that are passed over. Hell on earth grows for those not in the kingdom. Deuteronomy 28, 1 to 14 speaks of blessings, verses 28, 15 to 68 speaks of curses. The mystery. No one knows which of four groups or watches they enter the eternal kingdom until they actually enter therein. The first three groups begin with a betrothal. Therein, the betrothed is subject to eviction until the consummation of the marriage on the glorious solemn assembly. So we have 4 glorious solemn assemblies over a 1650-year period. The tares will know beforehand, as they are the default group. They are the last to enter the kingdom, but they enter as servants, eternal servants. Now, everyone is saved. The question is when. Remember, Jesus was sent to save the whole world, and he will not fail. Even God's banished will be saved. 2 Samuel 14:14 speaks of the banished being brought out. In Jonah 4:5 and 11. In 1 John 4:14. In Daniel 7:27, everyone obeys Jesus. In John 3:17 and 17, verse 2. So come out of her, my people, deliver thyself. That's Revelations 18:4, Jeremiah 51:6, and Zechariah 2:6 and 7. So we have 3 significant years. For the first fruits are sealed in the year 6000 from creation, which ended in the spring of 1996 AD. It's a long-awaited regeneration is now underway. 6010, the great transition, begins with betrothed firstfruits. Blessings began in Daniel 12:12. That's the end of 26-25 years from Ahaz's death. Now, 6000 is the end of 26-25 years from 10 years before Ahaz's death, when the dial was moved back. So we have a 10-year period where the dial is moving the other direction. Okay, now the first fruits marriage is consummated in the glorious solemn assembly, 6022. Day 8 now is a wrap-up of the whole picture. The spirit dominion. Now you have the end of the divided spirit dominion, the end of Jesus versus Satan. So then we have God's right. Jesus reigns supreme when the tares enter the eternal kingdom as servants. So day 8, 7001 through 8000 from creation. So we have the main harvest now. 42-year hour. This is the second 42-year hour. 6986 to 7028 from creation. The saints, princes. It's a step down from the first fruits, who are the kings, priests, and queens. Now the latter harvest, 42-year hour, comes next. It's 500 years later. It's 7486 to 7528 from creation. They're saints also. But their lesser princes are a step down from the main harvest, which come in 1,000 years after the first fruits. Then 150 years after the latter harvest, you have the tares, 42-year hour, 7636 to 7678 from creation. And they're the eternal servants. Again, we have 2 Samuel 14:14. God finds a way for his banished. Then Jonah 4:5 and 11. In Daniel 7:27. So now we talk about the purpose proposed upon the whole earth. Universal righteousness is achieved. 7650 from creation. The whole earth dwells under God's right. Isaiah 14 verses 24 to 28. Well, God's plan is quite simple. Universal righteousness. Jacob, true Israel, shall be established in their own land, the southland, and strangers shall cleave to them. That is, the obedient strangers also enter as Israel. Isaiah 14 verse 1. The obedient will be Israel. See days 3 and 4. The house of true Israel shall possess the disobedient as servants, and all not in the kingdom shall tithe to true Israel or suffer consequences. True Israel will rule over their former oppressors. Isaiah 14:2, Psalm 2:8, Zechariah 14:12 to 19, and Malachi 3:8 to 12. And even the tares will continue tithing forever and ever. They will finance and support the saints. Life for true Israelites shall become heaven on earth. Isaiah 14 verse 3. People must recognize true Israel versus the false Israel. Children of Solomon, the cursed Canaanites. The obedient will be Israel, and that will include some of those who are professing to be the children of Solomon. It will include some of all peoples. See days 3 and 4. People must recognize Satan, his dominion, his false laws, his false Israel, and Jesus, God's righteous laws, his true Israel, and obey. Deuteronomy 30, verses 1 to 3, and Isaiah 14, verses 4 to 6, and also verses 8 to 23. I always skipped over these, but we'll go back and pick them up. Ezekiel 14, 9 and 10 speaks of false prophets, and Ezekiel 20, verse 24 to 26, that speaks of God's going to give disobedient people phony laws. And Isaiah 66, verse 4, speaks of stumbling blocks, and it's repeated in 2 Thessalonians 2:11. Also see days 3 and 4. Satan retains dominion of the left until the tares into the eternal kingdom as servants. Satan loses his powers then because he has no one to serve him. Satan and his servants attack potential saints until they enter the eternal kingdom. So for 1650 years, the disobedient better watch out, because when they try to get into the kingdom, Satan's going to be on their case. Satan loses dominion, one group at a time, over 1650 years. First, the first fruits. Second, the main harvest. Third, the latter harvest. And fourth, the tares. Isaiah 14, verse 24 to 28. Jesus Christ reigns in the midst of his enemies. Psalm 110, verse 1 and 2. And Jesus Christ reigns over all when tares into the eternal kingdom as eternal servants. Universal righteousness now exists. This completes the chronology of humanity.